Up next, we shed light on local stories that made international headlines this week. And for that, I have Kim Sung-yeon here in the studio with me. Welcome, Sung-yeon.
Great to see you, Sunny. So in today's International Press Roundup, we do have an Olympic performance review of Korea's top speed skater in the women's event, the latest historical dispute between Korea and Japan, also the role of Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo's trilateral ties in the regional affairs, and finally how Korea is strengthening its cultural and economic clout through the power of K-pop. So let's dive right in. CNN hailed speed skater Choi Min-jung for successfully defending her women's 1500-meter Olympic title in the Winter Games, adding a gold medal in Beijing to add to her pair from the Pyeongchang Games 4 years ago. Similar praise was also lavished by ESPN, saying Choi lived up to her reputation in Beijing, further extending the tradition of Asian dominance in this particular event. In the meantime, Reuters reported on the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's congratulatory message to China for successfully hosting the Winter Games while vowing to strengthen its long-standing ties with Beijing. Kim, in his message to Chinese President Xi Jinping, also highlighted that North Korea and China are playing a common role in defending as well as advancing socialism.
And moving forward, Sung-yeon, what has been the foreign coverage of Seoul's efforts against Tokyo's intentions to add a controversial mine onto UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites?
Yes, Sunny, I did come across a coverage on the New York Times. It did detail the grim history behind the Sado mines, which, as we know, the Japanese government has submitted for UNESCO World Heritage designation. So the New York Times went in depth about the period during World War II when about 1,500 Koreans were conscripted to work in the mines under Japanese colonial rule. It mentions that in Japan, this history is viewed as best forgotten or at least consigned to a settled past. But on the other hand, it notes that in Korea, the wounds of Japan's 35-year occupation still remains raw, which has made Sado one of the latest diplomatic flashpoints between the two countries. The Times says the dispute has visibly worsened bilateral relations, leading to a very public fallout at a trilateral meeting in Hawaii this month with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The report also goes on to mention that there are those in Korea who would support the World Heritage nomination if and when Japan acknowledges the full history behind the Sado mines.
Right. And speaking about the trilateral framework that you mentioned, which includes South Korea, Japan, and the U.S., I understand one report says it's poised to play an important role in regional affairs.
Certainly. There was a piece on The Diplomat I found. It's talking about how crucial that trilateral mechanism is that you mentioned, particularly to the Indo-Pacific region that goes beyond just the cooperation of North Korea. So the Diplomat says the tripartite mechanism between Korea, Japan, and the U.S. has become a fundamental pillar for security and stability in Northeast Asia, as well as a crucial part of the U.S. security framework in the region. Nonetheless, the story goes on to say that even though Korea and Japan are key cornerstones of the U.S. alliance network, deteriorating Seoul-Tokyo relations due to historical grievances could pose an obstacle for cooperation between these three players. Regardless, the diplomat noted that Korea and Japan's cooperation will be essential in areas where the U.S. is pushing for extensive action against North Korea and China. The story concluded by emphasizing that the trilateral system must act together as a stabilizing platform for alliance politics in this particular region.
I see. All right, Sung-yeon, let's end things with the latest story on Korea's soft power.
So I came across another story by The Diplomat talking about K-content, also soft power, stressing that K-pop offers something a little bit different to the kind of nationalism that's been projected through by China. So the Diplomat noted that the most effective influence project of Asia and the world at this point might be K-pop, its stars, and their fandoms. It highlighted that the success of K-pop is part of Korea's overhaul of the arts and entertainment sectors to project cultural power, and that the recent popularity of Korean content may only just be the beginning of more successes to come. The report further details that Korean culture has become a force to be reckoned with, adding that Korea is not only challenging the cultural ascendancy that the U.S. has maintained, but is also setting the direction for the future of Asia as well. Moreover, it noted that K-pop offers offers something different from the kind of nationalism shown by China and the territorial politics of exclusion. Instead, it said that in K-pop, diverse national representation presents an opportunity for cultural and economic supremacy through various kinds of artistic expressions.
Right, I see. Song-yeon, as always, thank you very much for the coverage.
The pleasure is mine.